Today I've got a clip and a game for you in the Tier 7 premium Italian battleship Marcantonio Colonna because during the June 2026 update, Wargaming implemented a fix for the enhanced secondary targeting consumable 2. Previously, it didn't seem to actually improve the accuracy on the secondaries when it was running, on this ship in particular and on others, but now, as you can see from the power of these secondaries shredding the Nagato for 20k already in the span of a couple of seconds, that issue has been fixed. The enhanced secondary targeting consumable 2 on Marcantonio Colonna, night and day difference. Now these secondaries absolutely shred things when the consumable is active. The consumable has just gone inactive, the Nagato's gone down, we get a fist. We did 37,000 damage in the span of however long it takes for that secondary targeting consumable to work. I think it's about 30 seconds. Well, actually, it is 28. So 28 seconds, 40,000 damage on a Tier 6 battleship. And I suppose on, I think it was a Tier 7 destroyer. Anyway, now I've got a full game for you in the Marcantonio Colonna. On the same map, actually, Deja Vu. We spawn even on the same flank, I think. And this is probably a more realistic picture of how the ship functions. I don't think there's going to be any specific moment in this battle where the secondary power is revealed in such great relief as that first clip against the Nagato. Now, I'll show you my build too. I've modified it a little bit. We're still running Azerlane Vittorio Veneto, but previously I was using double secondary inspirations, Hipper and Haruna, along with all of the secondary skills, because when this enhanced secondary targeting consumable 2 was not working correctly, the secondaries just didn't seem to do all that much for me. Now that it is, though, I've taken out Haruna, substituted him with Kondo, or substituted her, rather, to spec into the concealment a little bit more, because this thing with concealment mod and Kondo has really good detect at only 12.1. And Haruna, of course, gives you a little bit more range on the secondaries. With her and with Hipper, I believe the range was something like 11.1, maybe? It's 10.7 with just Hipper, and I find that to be acceptable. What I wanted to do originally on this ship was use this build and then rely on the 6 charges of the enhanced secondary targeting consumable to make the secondaries usable when I needed them. And now, of course, we can achieve that build. You can still spec for full secondaries if you want to. I'm sure it'll make a marginal difference in the accuracy on these secondaries when the consumable's not active. You can see that they're not exactly the best at landing hits on this enemy New Orleans, but we do, of course, hit him with our main battery guns, and ultimately we take him out with a fist. The cap is occupied by some other red ship. There's 3 destroyers here, so this could be dangerous. As far as we can tell, though, there's nobody to the north of the islands on this cap, so maybe we can just turn in here and find success. Of course, there are torpedoes incoming, deep water ones. That's probably a bad sign if we've got a Pan-Asian destroyer in here, but we've got 2 cruisers on either side of us, one of which is the Helena. I can't remember if that thing has sonar. If it does, I suppose that's probably what's spotting the enemy Fletcher, who looks like he is about ready to leave this cap. We, of course, don't want to push too far between this gap yet, just in case that Fletcher has launched some torpedoes, and we potentially have some decent shots here on the D7P, a ship that we would like to take out if possible, and of course we want to secure the cap. Looks like the blue team is well on its way to securing Bravo, and of course we completely missed the D7P. Don't know how that happened, but we've also got a Pan-Asian cruiser, or Pan-American cruiser, sorry, over here, the Bolognese. And, well, I don't consider him to be too much of a threat. We'll use the enhanced secondary targeting consumable once more. Main battery is out. The results from the main battery are practically non-existent, 3 overpens, but once again, the enhanced secondary targeting consumable is causing that cruiser to be shredded. And these secondaries are no joke either, because they fire sap. They hit for a lot of damage. The smaller 90 millimeter secondaries hit for 4,004 damage with this build. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the 152s hitting for 4,004 damage. The smaller ones hit for 2,080. Still a lot. Absolutely devastating to destroyers as well. Fletcher is almost a close quarters expert kill, but once again, a fist. Bolognese, for his part, is well on his way back to port, still within secondary range, trying to escape them. But as he exits the secondary range, you can see we land no further hits. That's okay, I suppose that's what the main battery's for. And now that the Fletcher is gone, we shouldn't have anything else threatening this cap. Pitadel there on the Bolognese. As we take him out, the enemy has now lost 3 ships. We've only lost 1. But the tides can turn quickly in World of Warships Legends. There goes a friendly cruiser and a friendly battleship. Suddenly, we've both lost 3. Isn't that crazy how things change? Anyway, we're going to be able to take this cap, and then we're going to have to start moving on to the other side of the map and deal with all of the reds over there. That's where they all are, after all. 12 seconds, 11 from taking the cap, as the enemy Vanguard takes down the Jaeger, and all of a sudden the enemy is ahead of us on kills and points. But as soon as we secure this cap, we'll at least have that advantage built in. And tactically, this is a good situation for the blue team to be in spite of the fact that we now have less ships sailing than the reds, because we have 2 out of 3 of the caps. And all we really have to do in order to win is stop sinking. I guess nobody gave the memo there to the poor Plymouth. Probably shouldn't make fun of him too much. He is somebody that I think regularly watches the channel. GG. Anyway, we're going to head into the center of the map. I guess the kill count is almost reaching parity. The enemy's still ahead of us by 1, but there's 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, and 2 destroyers left. We've got 1 friendly destroyer on the case of whatever's spotting us. Of course, one good reason to spec so heavily into concealment as I do, and I've said this many times before, is because in a situation like this, when we're spotted at 12.1 km, we know we're in danger zone of the DD, and there's fewer places on the map that the DD could be spotting us from. Of course, this split is headed toward his location. He's over here between these 2 islands somewhere. And if I recall correctly, Split is going to find him. It's the Kirasame. He's the one responsible for the deep water torpedoes earlier. Guess it wasn't a Pan-Asian destroyer. I forgot that thing has that capability too. Of course, we get a little bit distracted by the Kirasame. We want to shoot him and sink him if we can. I don't know what the remaining enemy DD is aside from him, but I do know a D7P, or some Dutch cruiser now, is hot on our case and deals the first meaningful damage of this battle against us with his airstrikes. Now, for our part, we haven't done a whole lot of damage, but it's not necessarily about damage, it's about winning games. Atlanta B out there looks like he's under some distress from the blue team. Does he stop there behind the island so we can't hit him? Looks like that is the case, and the last remaining enemy battleship is a Vanguard as we miss the torpedoes from the Kirasame. Pretty close there, but I think Split is going to end up taking him out. Atlanta goes down, making it a 4v4, and so does Helena. So now it's a 3v4, but Split, any moment, he's going to come through and take out that Kirasame. He's almost got him, so we can write him off as a loss for the red team as we reach the Bravo cap, which is what we need to do in order to win the game. Once again, we are spotted. Unclear if that is because of the cruiser or the destroyer. Turns out it's the cruiser, and it's our old friend D7P as the Split takes down the Kirasame. I don't know where the other enemy DD was, or is rather. He was last spotted near the Charlie cap, but I don't think he's anywhere around us. So once again, enhanced secondary targeting consumable active as the D7P tries to kite away and hit us with all his airstrikes and his HE guns. Lights us on fire a good number of times, but once again, these secondaries with this module are coming through to shred the D7P. And I'll tell you, if you ended up getting the Colonna, which I believe was a crafting station ship, so I don't know that everybody got it, but if you did and were disappointed by the secondary performance, I'm telling you, it's a night and day difference now with this module. This thing is really all you need. You don't even have to spec fully into secondaries anymore, I don't think. And for 28 seconds, 6 times a match, Then, well, you get the unlimited power of the secondaries. Again, though, they do fall off, the accuracy, once the module runs out. Sorry if you hear poor Brutus coughing in the background. He does have some heart problems, unfortunately, and it pushes up against his windpipe, so it makes him cough. He is otherwise okay, though, so don't worry too much about him yet. He's just getting old. Anyway, the D7P goes down. I don't know what happened to the other enemy destroyer. Apparently, he got himself into trouble and got sunk, which just leaves the Vanguard. And the D7P. I said he went down. I lied. He's still floating. But Vanguard, not for too much longer. If there's one thing we know about Vanguard, it's that he is one of the easiest citadels to hit in the game. There's the high caliber metal with 107,000 damage done, 2 kills, and 2 fists. All that's left now is D7P, and this game seems like a comfortable victory. All we're going to have to do now is find the D7P as he tries and fails to hit us with the airstrikes. But Colonna, I think it's a nice secondary ship now. It's definitely still a battle cruiser experience, though. I believe it is a Caracciolo up-tiered to Tier 7, so it shares the downsides of having an overmatchable bow and stern, although it does have the icebreaker on the front of the bow, which I think is actually worse than Caracciolo's, if I'm not mistaken. 30mm plate on the Colonna. I think it's 40 on the Caracciolo. Don't know exactly why that is, but I wasn't initially sold on this ship when I first obtained it, mostly because of the inaccuracy of the secondaries. But now that that has been fixed, I think this is a fun, brawling battleship. And if you build it for stealth like I do, I think it offers you the capability of getting yourself into places and positions that other battleships might find difficult to obtain. You can, of course, be stealthy on your way in so you can get closer to the action without being spotted. But then you've got these smoke screens you can fall back on, and if you've got spotting for you while you're in a smoke screen, as you saw from the first clip of this game, these secondaries can do a lot of talking. In fact, I think these secondaries are so reliable now with this consumable active that since the D7P is within secondary range and he's on low HP, we can pretty much guarantee these secondaries are going to be reliable enough to finish him off. We don't even need to fire the main battery guns. There he goes, only close quarters expert of the match, and of course we win the battle. With not a lot of damage done, 109,000, but with a high caliber metal, and 2,400 base XP, 3 kills. I think Colonna is a great ship now. If you did get it and you were disappointed because of the problem with the secondary mod like I was, take it out for a spin now. I think you'll find the difference is night and day. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.